right, looks like we're online. Alright, so this is something a little new for me. Well, new and old, I guess. Hi, this is DJ Mondo, and welcome to the Atomic Luau, and welcome to another episode of Sketchlab. This is the first one that I'm doing directly to Twitch. This is just kind of a test. I'm not going to be doing a whole lot here. Maybe I'll go for about 30 minutes or so just to kind of limber up. But I realized that I hadn't been doing a whole lot of drawing lately and haven't been, doing character development and stuff like I have been recently. I kind of wanted to get back to that, and what better way to test it than to update OBS and try to get back onto Twitch. I kind of stopped doing streams for a while because the method that I was using was so unstable that my streams weren't coming through and they weren't getting recorded very well, and it was just kind of a mess. So I just kind of stopped doing them. But I was doing this little Sketchlab thing for a while, and I think I kind of want to get back to that, and nothing so formal, but just kind of do some kind of stream of consciousness sketching and stuff in order to kind of clear my mind, and that's kind of good, particularly on a Sunday night like tonight when I got to get back to the grind tomorrow since it's Monday. But I was knocking around some ideas, and I just thought maybe I would start a few of them tonight and see if I could get some preliminary sketches out of the way. And hey, Cypher, what's going on? Thank you for joining. Looks like you're the only one, so welcome. What I think I'm going to do, I was knocking around an idea for like a movie poster for the Atomic Luau. And I think I'm going to start a couple of preliminary sketches tonight and see kind of what I come up with. I was looking at some things earlier from some sketches earlier from old King Kong posters, and I think I want to do something like that. So let's see if it comes out well. Hey, check my sound, Cypher. Am I coming through out there? Can you hear me? Please respond. Excellent, thank you. The levels are pretty good here, so okay. I was kind of concerned. I'm using a USB mic, so we'll see. 540p. The 540p is really about all I need. So, maybe I'll up it later. But I don't want to take a chance with the stream since I was having trouble with it before. So we'll see how it goes. So anyway, I've got the iPad hooked up here, and what you're seeing here is some of the stuff that I've done previously. The artwork that you're looking at is kind of an homage to Akira, which is 720. Yeah, okay, I'll go up to 720. We'll see. I'll do it on the next stream. I'll test it on the next stream and see how it goes. Because I'm concerned about getting a good recording also at the same time. So, because the audio was screwed up on some of the other recordings. But we'll see how it goes. Anyway, the art that you're seeing on the iPad right now is an homage that I had done for Akira. It's on my Instagram here, but I like to do comic book cover knockoffs, and instead, one of the other ones that I did here was kind of an homage to an old Silver Surfer comic book. This is one I did for a friend of mine, DJ Sirius C, and Also, just a word to the wise: you can't once you do these Marvel comic book cover knockoffs, you can't put them on T-shirts in on Spreadshirt. They'll ding you for a copyright infringement. So be aware of that, though. Even though you're extremely proud of the artwork that you did, they won't let you put it on a T-shirt because it's too close to the Marvel Comics group when it obviously says Mondo. But you know, what are you going to do? And there was something else here that I was doing a knockoff of. No, that's not a cover. That's a video. Anyway, but like I said, I was going to do some sketches here to do maybe some preliminary sketches for a knockoff movie poster. But we'll see how that goes. And this is something I was working on earlier. This is an interior of a train car where DJ Mondo and his roommate were taking a ride with a couple of other people. But I'll come back to that later. I mostly work in Procreate when I'm on the iPad because I think it's a really, really great application. There are some features that I wish they would port it over to Mac, but because I would really like to use Procreate on the Mac. But usually on the Mac, I usually use Clip Studio Paint, which has a whole lot of features that Procreate doesn't have. But there are actually some features in Procreate that I wish Clip Studio Paint had as well. Let's use our round marker, bring our opacity down a little bit, and maybe make another layer here. Here we go. Let's fill in a couple of guys. Next time I do this, I'm going to have some music behind me. I tried to set up an application called Mind Harp. It plays some meditation music, which I kind of think of drawing as kind of a form of meditation. It's one of the ways that I relax. Working on his phone. What's pretzel rocks? I never heard of pretzel rocks. What is that? Yeah, royalty-free music. Okay. Nice. find something suitable. I got a couple of long mixes of my own stuff, but I don't want it to be too harsh for the stream. That's why I was thinking more of meditation music. But let's give us another layer here to put Dr. Sim. And he is basically be sitting on the other end of the bench here. I might have to change the proportions on this guy, but we'll see. He's got gigantic arms. Thing about this is that you can slide him into place once it's done. That'll be about the size that he's going to be. The only trouble with that is that he's going to be covering the windows, and what I plan to do here was I was going to make a kind of a collage animation here by leaving the windows green. That way I can overlay this over a piece of video of the train motion outside the window, and I could make a little animation out of this, which I thought would be kind of fun, of them riding the train. So. Do it, yeah, but I would prefer to have the windows unblocked, but it would still look pretty interesting. Maybe I can reconfigure it next time, but I don't know. I just want to do the basics here. I'm not going to do a whole lot today, maybe just a half hour or so to see how it goes. So I'm going to get the initial sketches out of the way. Let's thin this down a little bit. I really shouldn't put a whole lot of detail into this, but bolts in there, elbow joints, and yes, it's a train. So and like I said, the good thing about Procreate is that you can, I'll separate the layers and work on each of the elements separately here, but eventually Dr. Sim and DJ Mondo will have their own layers, and you can stack the layers. So that is one layer for preliminary sketches, one layer for cleanup, one layer for inks, and one layer for colors, another layer for shadows. and you can put them all in a single object, which is quite nice. So, but yeah, this is like I said, this is the preliminaries here. To DJ Mondo, maybe change his proportion a little bit. Make him a little smaller, put him a little higher. There we go. And that's our sketch. Problem here is that let's do this here, do some erasing here, let's get that out of there, and another great thing is that you can copy whatever you want. And copy paste, it gets its own layer, and then you can take this and move it over here to have another more accurate door. Merge this down. Door should really be closer to the there we go. All right, that's a little better anyway. It's not going to be the final, but at least I get an idea of where the proportions are. So there. Not bad. And now we can put these in there. Duplicate each of these layers here. I suggest you rename your layers in order to keep your to keep track of them. Otherwise, you'll go nuts. Okay, there we are. Oh yeah. I think I used the screen size for the canvas. It's probably, the DPI is probably a little bit too high to start with, but but I kind of do it that way so that the strokes are a little smoother. That doesn't always work though. You still sometimes get some anti-aliasing with some of the pens that you use, with some of the some of the brushes that you use do give you that anti-aliasing. But and I've got an iPad Pro with a Retina display, And it also, one of the things that using the DPI as high as I do kind of makes for larger files, and that might be kind of problematic too if you don't really have the storage space, because each one's going to take up a lot of space. Another thing I've been doing lately is I've been making some strips. I made a couple of strips in Procreate, because you actually have a page manager in there now where you can create pages. But the good thing about that is that it keeps your pages in order, and you can manage your layers of those pages. Again, sketches, cleanup, inks, colors, but that also creates a larger file. So, but yeah, but the one that I'm working with right now is basically using the same DPI as the Retina display, and I just kind of do that out of force of habit whenever I create a new sketch. So, but this just happens to be that. All right, so what I would do here is I think I'd make I'm going to duplicate these layers, and then let's duplicate, and let's put everybody together here. And right here, and so now I'm going to make a super sketch. Let's make these invisible for a second here so that there's no confusion, and then let's put all of these into a new group. And we want him on top of that, and let's call this new group just going to call it sketch to keep track of it. And with these guys here, now what we've got here is we've got an entire group under the subheading of sketch, and you can turn the whole thing on and off here. And also you should be able to resize it as a single unit here. So now I can take the whole thing and resize it all at once. So we've got some runoff over there. But this will give you a better idea of where everything falls on the screen here. There were supposed to be some other elements of the drawing here. A couple more people maybe standing in front here, and someone sitting here. But I'm gonna leave those out for a while here, for the moment. And all right, and so then we can start working in and doing some some cleanup to these here. I don't know if I like this layer arrangement here, but it was kind of necessary in order to scale them all at once. But let's just knock around with it and see how it works in our sketch layer. I'm going to create another layer outside of here, and I'm going to call this one Sim. Let's rename this to Sim and just work on cleaning him up a little bit. Actually, let's call it Sim Cleanup. You really should have your sketch and your cleanup in the same in the same group, but that's all right for our purposes here. I'm just gonna draw it. Let's at least give this guy a face. And I'm actually going to darken the marker here a little bit, and let's, there we go. Oops, not too light. I knocked the opacity all the way down. All right. Now, Sim is supposed to be a gorilla, but he always kind of comes out looking like a chimpanzee, so so he's got that thick brow. And his muzzle. And he's always kind of grumpy, so thick nose. Thick brow here. I want to put this really thick underbrow here because his eyes are set way back. There we go. Now I struggled with the idea of giving Sim a kind of an Elvis hairdo because he's supposed to be really cool, but I compromised by giving him a soul patch beard. Just want to get his ears in there. There we go. So, yeah, I'm just broadcasting the Procreate window. The window of Procreate, you can, in OBS, you can actually enter the, if you're, my iPad is connected to my computer by USB-C, and which carries the video signal into OBS, and you can choose the iPad as an input device. So yeah, so that way you can see all the detail here, and I can still have use the extra, my outside camera for my fantastic face. Thank you. But that way you don't miss a thing on the iPad. So I think I'm going to skip the Elvis haircut for the moment, but he does have massive sideburns. Here we go. All right. So there you go. His head might need to be a little smaller because I like to really emphasize how tiny his head is versus his giant, like, robotic body. Sim's a robot. I don't know if you guys know, but he's DJ Mondo's caretaker. He's actually the sensible one of the duo. So head is usually one thing I like about Procreate is that is the geometry of it. Like if I wanted to make a an ellipse, all I have to do is draw a circle and then hold it, and then I could resize it like this. If you touch the pad, you can make perfect circles. You know, and that goes a long way when you're drawing like robots and things like that, and you want the lines to be perfect. It is really, really excellent. That's one of the features that I wish Clip Studio Paint has, but it doesn't. So Sim is kind of wearing, well, he's not wearing, it's his body, but his head is kind of out of the top of a kind of an item here, and the hole here is, you know, but you can make almost perfect geometric shapes here just by drawing and holding. Oh no. And good thing we got undo. So there we go. And so his head comes out of this little ring here, because the inner ring here is like when he goes into battle mode, he's got a shield that comes over the top of this thing. But since he's a bass player, he needs that. Don't ask me why. All right, and he's also got a little arc reactor in his chest. We don't call it an arc reactor because we don't want to get sued, but it is his power source, and DJ Mondo has one too. That's how they bind it. They're both nuclear powered, so. Yeah, I think his head needs to be smaller. So what we're going to do is we're going to shrink his head, because I like those really heroic proportions for heroes. So we're going to shrink him and move him here. Here we go. See, that's a little better. And then we clean up. And those giant bolts are where the hinges of his shoulders are supposed to be. So. I've been trying to relax a little, you know, when I draw. A lot of people, they take forever to finish something, you know, and I'm kind of like that. I do a lot of stuff that I start but don't actually finish, and so I vowed that this year is going to be different. I'm going to actually finish what I start. And maybe get a few web comics in, you know, because it might be interesting learning about a cyborg DJ and his robot gorilla roommate. But here we go. We got some Rob Liefeld fans. Rob Liefeld in the house. So that's why I stick to drawing mostly robots. If your proportions are off, you know, you can just tell them, well, he's not human, so it's okay. So. He's got really, really tiny legs, gigantic arms, tiny legs. But he's got jump jets too, so that kind of makes up for it, I guess. And some knee joints. There should be bolts on the side of his legs as well. Just got a notification that I'm streaming on Twitch. So it's like about what, 20 minutes in. Thanks IFTTT. Forty minutes. Thanks, Cypher. I think I'm just going to go ahead and finish up a preliminary sketch here for Dr. Sim, and we'll call it at that time, and I'll come back and maybe do some more tomorrow or the day after, but I'm not going to rush through it because he's got some decorations on his arms here. This is where his power couplings on his arms go here. And I'll worry about the real cleanup and real geometric stuff later on, but not so much for these preliminary sketches here. But as long as he's got his power couplings here. Oh, and he's got a couple on his back too. That's so you'll know his reactor is working. So there we go. And you can take those out, and then you can plug in a bass amp on his back, so you can really bring the house down. And one last go at his feet. Now his feet, since he's an ape, they're kind of like hands, so this is kind of a thumb over here, and just going to sketch them in. Again, they're not anatomically correct, but hey, what are you going to do? When you're a cyborg, you take what you can get. And we'll clean these up later. There's a couple of bolts missing. Basically, at every joint, he's got these giant silver bolts that are sticking out of the side here to let you know that that's where the joint is. And same for his ankles. These big giant Frankenstein looking. So yeah, that's Dr. Sim riding the train. And that's pretty much how it's going. But like I said, what I wanted to do here is leave the windows blank. That way I can put a green background behind them, and then I can take this whole sketch and put it overlay it on a piece of video of parallax train motion, so to look like they're riding the train. So. But that's the ultimate goal. There might be some more characters in this picture. There's some like a couple of like cops in here, like that, or over here, or some other passengers, some other strange looking passengers. I don't know if this is going to be a modern train or DJ Mondo's from like 300 years in the future. It might be him riding the train in the future. Who knows? Maybe I'll do 2 versions of it. So who knows? But this is basically a decent start. So I think I'm going to cut it off here. Thanks everyone who joined my test. And thanks for your interest. And send me any questions that you have about Procreate or about Clip Studio Paint. I know a lot about those apps. And hey, if you guys do any drawing yourself, link me to it. I'd like to see it, especially if anybody who does web comics, because I think maybe I'll turn this into a web comic series, but that might be kind of fun. So, hey, thanks for showing up, and have a good night, everybody.